Florida State has offered 2026 quarterback Luke Fahey. I'm here to break down his performance from OT7.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to a recruiting episode of Locked On Seminoles. Here to break down Luke Fahey, quarterback from Mission Viejo, one of the recent offers from the Noles and Tony Tokars. He had a great performance at OT7, and it's going to be a lot of fun talking about it. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnCollege. Terms and conditions apply. Luke Fahey plays for California Power, Mission Viejo High School on the south edge of Los Angeles. 2026 quarterback, 6 foot, 190 pounds, 4'7", and the 40 RPO game, pocket game, outside the pocket, make plays on his feet when there's a blitzer. He is an all-encompassing young quarterback that thinks as well as he throws. And that's the reason I think Florida State and Tony Tokars decided, you know what, let's go ahead and throw our hat in the ring. Tony went out and saw him recently and throw it around a little bit at spring ball for Mission Viejo. And obviously it worked out well because he got an offer. He's just now starting to get some of the big-time teams to offer him. The Noles might be his best offer, depending on how you want to look at it. But I want to break down a little bit of what he does and why he's been popular with some of the colleges here recently. And I want to show a little video here in just a second and kind of go over it. But here's the biggest thing you need to know. Most quarterbacks, as I've talked about, and most of you probably know as well, don't really start understanding post-snap reads, progressions, leverage, or anything like that until they're at least in college, if not towards the end of college. Fahey is coming off a state championship run with Mission Viejo as a sophomore, has 2 years of high school left. And even if one of his guys, is double covered, his number one option. Okay, not there. Some guys panic when they see that. He will go to the second option, the third, the fourth option, and honestly, not really care much about it. And here are some of the teams they played against, just to put it in perspective, if you know anything about high school football. Long Beach Poly. It's where numerous players have come out of. At one point, they had more NFL players than anybody else in the history of high school football. So that puts things in perspective right off the bat. Los Alamitos, San Clemente, St. John's High School in Washington, D.C., Servite, De La Salle. That's who they beat in the state title game with Fahey at quarterback. They played against a really good schedule, and Mission Viejo went 13-3, won their division for state championship. They did it with a lot of big plays. They've got good players there, don't get me wrong. Spafford, the slot receiver, his number one option, had 23 touchdowns, and he's a big-time recruit too. But again, it starts with the signal caller making the right choices. Doesn't force the football. So with that, here's a little bit of the video for if you think about it, I'll go ahead and just play this. Was smart enough to jump themselves into the ring and kind of put it in perspective. Florida State, as I've said many times, they recruit their own guys. They do their own thing. They don't care what 247 or On 3 or anybody, myself or anybody. They do what they do. That's one of the reasons I like covering Florida State recruiting. It is unique. It's surprising to me that more teams don't look at it that way, but they've really made a name for themselves with the portal too. Let's not forget that. finding guys that fit them, even if they haven't been successful somewhere else, or that maybe they didn't maximize, for lack of a better term. That's okay. Florida State found a way to get kids to play for them at a high level. Mike Norvell and his staff, Tokars, obviously the quarterback coach, all those guys deserve credit for that. This is another example. I will guarantee you, by the way that Fahey played this past weekend at OT7 just outside Orlando, all the major guys were there looking at, the prospects, and Ivins, Chad Simmons, John Garcia Jr., etc. And there are all kinds of different guys. They're doing video. You're going to see Luke's film come up. And even though the state of Florida is loaded in 2026 with quarterbacks, Tony went after this kid because he thinks he fits. To put a style in play, I'm not saying he's Jordan Travis. I mean, that's a superior athlete. But he moves around and makes kids miss. He did it on some blitzes and stuff during this tournament. I see a little bit of Jordan. He's not the exact same player, but he's just so much more mentally prepared coming from the high school he's from than most quarterbacks. Mission Viejo, for those you don't know, is a tradition-rich program. They've had kids for decades going to Southern Cal, UCLA, wherever you want to imagine, they've sent players. I don't think he's going to struggle with the transition from high school to college like most kids. And I wanted to signify all of this in one big sentence here. Florida State is recruiting kids that can be impact players, even if some people don't think they could be. On some rosters, this is a kid that could come in and compete early. Now, Florida State's got a depth chart at quarterback. Don't get me wrong. But if you're going to win big, that's part of it. You're going to get some of these kids you're not. But Florida State's recruiting its own guys, making good evaluations, and they're finding fits. Luke's a great kid, by the way. I spoke with him at length and interviewed him, talked a little bit about some of the things that he was looking for in a school, the fit with the coaches, really wanted to be desired like that. I don't want to just be a guy. I want to be somewhere that they want me to be. I'm going to fit in academically, socially, the whole 9 yards. Really nice kid. And I think he could go to any school, from Stanford to Florida State, to Illinois to Texas. It wouldn't matter. He's a guy that can fit that. But he wants the opportunity to play big-time football. Florida State, he was really happy about the offer, and I think the Noles have a chance to get him. It's just early in his process. We'll see. Ohio State and Oregon are a couple of the schools he followed growing up. Not sure if that will play a role in his decision, but he's got a ton of offers again. So we'll see how it goes. Some of those offers probably aren't the biggest, but now that he's getting some of these Power Fours, I think we'll see a big shift in his recruitment ranking and the number of schools that offer him, especially once again, some of this film circulates. Wouldn't be surprised if Luke had 2 or 3 more offers in the next week or two. The May evaluation period is upon us. Coaches like Tony are out on the road. He's going to get others, but nonetheless, please like this podcast. Please subscribe. We're going to have some other recruiting updates. Going to do a little more recruiting overall tomorrow. I just got back in town from Orlando and kind of breaking down film and trying to finish it out. But Tuesday's pod for Locked On Seminoles will be a traditional one. Just wanted to make sure I got this up because I was really impressed with Luke Fahey, and I thought it was a lot of fun to kind of break down his film. So everybody have a good night. Thank you very much, and we will talk again with you very soon on Locked On Seminoles. Everybody have a great night.